This was one of the hardest decisions I made in my life, y'all. This is like, who do I love more, my daughter or my son? I'm just joking. I love them both equally. They will be watching this video.
Angel Knot.
Salutations to the nations. What's good, Angel Knots? It's your boy, Young Sinai. So, today, it's just going to be a different type of video. I'm just going to be, yapping and telling you all my thoughts on these recent dual screen handhelds, okay? So, one of my favorite handhelds of all time is the new Nintendo 3DS XL. It was, for a long time, I didn't even bother to buy a Switch because I love the 3DS XL so much. I always knew whenever they finally release a dual screen retro handheld, then that was going to be my end goal, my end goal handheld. I'm like, that is what I'm waiting for. When I first learned about this scene some years back, I'm like, man, I wish they had a handheld that was dual screen. And then, Retroid, they released the Flip, but it wasn't dual screen. It just had big empty space. I'm like, that's where a screen needs to go, So I never bought one of those because it still didn't scratch that itch. And then I saw the AYANEO Pocket DS. And I was like, here it is, folks. Here it is. Shortly after, AYN pulled a, if you keep up with hip hop, when Drake released Family Matters, and then moments later, Kendrick released Meet the Grams. That is what happened in the handheld world. Okay? AYN said that they were going to release the Thor, which shout outs to them with these names, man. But, it sure beats the RG35XXSP-777412. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, snap, we got some competition. And so I was like, which one am I going to get? And I was going back and forth. This was one of the hardest decisions I made in my life, y'all. This is like, who do I love more, my daughter or my son? You know what I'm saying? I'm just joking. I love them both equally. They will be watching this video. So I was like, which one am I going to get? I'm like, well, that that AYANEO screen is huge. And so that's definitely a plus, right? But then I'm like, well, is it going to be able to fit in my pocket? Because I really want something that's pocketable. So I was like, okay, well, I'll get the Thor because, that's 6 inches. And so I was settled. I was like, I also like the fact that it has like, a protective case, kind of like this. You can get some different accessories, a lanyard and stuff. I thought that was pretty dope. But I'm like, that bottom screen, though, is small, That bottom screen is what, 4 inches or something like that? Let me see. That bottom screen is 3.92 inches. So I'm like, yo, I don't want to get these handhelds, and all I'm thinking is, man, I should have got the bigger size. I should have got the bigger size. I should have got the bigger size. So I thought about it for days. I watched the same YouTube videos because there aren't many about them. I watched the same videos over and over and over, like 20 of these videos. No, it's probably like 15 videos. I probably watched them like 20 times each. I'm not even gonna lie. I was even watching the Japanese people talk. I'm like, I don't know what they're saying, but okay. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, if I buy the Thor, which I know is gonna be the most popular, I already know, especially at the price point, and it is clean, I'm going to wish that I just had an overall bigger screen size. And I couldn't get past that, you know? Now, there are some things I like about the Thor. Like I said, I like the fact that it has accessories. I like the fact that it has the LCD lights. You know, that's dope. There's a lot of things that I like about it. I like AYN as a company in general. I mean, I say LCD lights. I mean LED lights on the analog sticks. But, you know, I'm like, I want this really to be the end all, be all device. Like, really, like, low key, one of the last handhelds I get. Unless, like, you know, some people send me some for free or something, and I'm going to review it or whatnot. But, and when I say the last handheld I get, understand that I'm talking about for these retro handheld companies. I'm not talking about, you know, I still haven't got the Switch 2, but if I get a Switch 2 or Sony or Xbox release something, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about retro handhelds specifically. Because I was listening to Joey Handhelds a couple weeks ago, and he brought up a really good point, and this is what I've been feeling a lot as well. I don't want a ton of handhelds. Like, I know I have a video on here. You can check it out talking about my 13-ish handheld collection or something. But, like, low-key, when I get this, I'm about to narrow it down to about 5 handhelds, all for specific purposes. Specific purposes. I'll, you know, update you all when I do that. But, like, when I get the AYANEO Pocket, which is not pocketable, when I get that, it's going to low-key replace my AYN Odin, my 3DS, and my RG35XXSP. Man, that's a horrible name. Right now, I'm using this specifically for Pico 8 and Game Boy Studio games. I'm going to put my Game Boy Studio games on my Analog Pocket, which I have. I haven't even, you know, talked to you all about how I feel about the Analog Pocket. I still need to make that video. But I learned that there's a emulator that I can play Pico 8 on Android. So I'm like, yo, I don't need all these, man. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this yet. I might give it to my kids. I'm not sure. But the 3DS, I low-key don't even like carrying this around because, you know, it's not rare, but it's kind of becoming rare, and it's getting more and more expensive, so I really don't want anything to happen to it, so I just want to put it in the closet so it'll be safe. I love clamshell devices, man. There's something about it that just seems so cozy, right? I can't explain it, you know? You got cozy games, but a clamshell is like a cozy device, right? It's like you just flip it open and like you just like in your own world, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like, oh, back to the real world. But I'm not disappointed in the decision that I made. Now, the two GOATs who I've been waiting on, Tech Dweeb and Retro Game Core, which are low-key the same person. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Like, they just released their video talking about it today. I've been waiting for it forever. I'm going to watch their videos at least 30 times each. And it was some things that they mentioned, you know, like about the software. One of the things I was really curious of is, are you going to be able to adjust the audio on the top screen from the bottom screen if you're watching something different? And apparently that's not a thing yet. Hopefully they update that in the software. Also, Tech Dweeb brought up the fact that the bottom screen, you can't change the background, which is like the background wallpaper, which I think that's pretty lame. Hopefully they fix that. It seems like a pretty easy fix, but what do I know? I don't make these things. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Let me know, are you going to get the Thor or are you going to get the Pocket? I know most people are going to get the Thor, and I was right there with you. But yeah, let me know. I am very interested. Do you like clamshells, or are you going to, you know, just stick to a candy bar type? But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. God bless and salutations to the nations. Peace.
Angel Knot.